Alright guys, today we are going to edit a Fusion 360 post processor for a Haas EC400 mill. We're going to use Claude AI to do the editing. If you haven't used Claude, just Google search Claude AI and sign in, sign up. Okay, so before we get started, make sure you back up a copy of your post processor just in case. Make sure you test the code and just be cautious because we are editing your post processor and there is bad things can happen. So we're going to go to Google and search for Fusion 360 post processor training guide PDF. Okay, now this first step is optional. You don't really have to do it, but I highly recommend it. What we're going to do, we're going to download the post processor training guide. So I open it up, it's a PDF. Make sure you search post processor training guide PDF. So open the PDF and hit download. Okay, so I'm going to download it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Claude and I'm going to hit this plus sign right here, right? I'm going to add the post processor training guide, and I'm going to add a copy of my post. All right, so I'm going to go to add file. We're going to go to wherever you have your file, your post processor. If you don't know where to get your post processor, all right, so I'm going to do so. I'm going to go to manage post library, right? Then I'm going to find the post processor. So in this case, it's the Haas EC400. I'm going to right click. I'm going to go to export, right? I'm going to save it in a location that I can find. So now I'm going to go back to Claude. I'm going to hit the plus sign. Then I'm going to add the file. All right. Let me hit open. So I added two files. Okay, the post processor training guide and the horizontal mill. Now what's going to happen? I'm going to prompt Claude to. I'm going to tell it what we're doing. I'm going to give it an intro. Hey, we're going to edit this post. I need your help. Here's the post processor training guide. Use this as reference. And here's my post processor. And then we're going to start listing things one by one that we're going to edit. So next thing you want to do is you want to figure out what changes you want to make. So find a file that has some of the most common toolpaths you usually use. Doesn't have to be all of them. This is kind of simple right here, but it's enough to get us started. So I'm gonna go to post process. I'm gonna use the post that I just added. And let's go through here. So if you go through this, the first thing I want to do on this post processor is I want to take out the using G00 travels along a dogleg path. Alright, so I'm going to tell Claude, edit my post processor. First, let's start off with removing the using G00 which travels along dogleg. Alright, so I'm going to hit upload or send. Okay, so Claude is reading. So it says, I'll start by reading the skill for editing Fusion Post 360 post processor. Then locate and remove the comment. Okay, so I told Claude, edit my post processor. First start with removing the G00 from travel from a long dogleg comment. Claude responded, I'll start by reading the skill for editing Fusion 360 post processor. Then I'll locate and remove the comment. Okay, so as you can see, Claude edited line 662, which is on open section, right? So what it did was it commented out the right line comment localized using G00, which travels along the dogleg path, the comment. So it commented out that line. So the good thing about this is the original line in the actual post processor is still there. It's just commented out, so it's not going to post it in the posted code. But it's reversible. You need to come back and change it or check on something, it's still there. Okay. So the result in the posted NC output, which is when use G00 is on, using, and it has the this comment, which that's what activates the comment, using G00, which travels along the log link path. So that header comment will no longer appear at the top of the program. When use G00 is off, the existing use high feed G01 instead of G00 comment behavior is unchanged. So basically, that comment is for when you use G00 instead of high feed rates. Okay, so that's ready. And Claude has the post processor right here, so I could click on it. I could sometimes you go open it. Let's see. For some reason, it's not loading right now. A lot of times you hit load file, it'll pop up and you can see it. What we're going to do is we're going to go to download, and I'm going to download it. We're going to name this Rev2. So I'm going to hit save. And another thing is what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell Claude each time it makes some change to name the updated file the next rev number. So for example, this edit is rev2. Alright, so it responded, got it, version file names using forward, let me rename the current edit rev2. So it's managing memory. Now if you notice, it just updated the name, so if I go back and hit download, it now comes up as rev2, right? Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to upload the new post, the new edit, and we're going to test it out and see how it looks. So I'm going to go to my NC programs, and I'm going to hit edit. I'm going to go down to post, go to select post from library, and I'm going to import the new rev. So I'm going to go over here to import. I'm going to find it in the downloads right here. I got rev2. I'm going to hit open and select, right? Now, one thing, I don't like to use sequence numbers, and I don't like the preload tool, so I'm going to go ahead and change some of the post properties. Another thing we could do, it depends on your post. Like I always select use G00, I deselect preload tool, and I like to go to format and turn off use sequence numbers, right? So what we could do is we could we could tell Claude to make these default off, okay? By default, the post processor will have G00 and it will not use sequence numbers. Now the reason why I say that is I want to look at the code how I like it, right? So I can see what changes I need to make. And if every time I make a change I have to re-upload the post and it comes in with those settings and I have to go change the settings, it's going to slow down the process because this is going to take a little while. We're going to have to one by one change all these things. Now you can go and do all the steps at once, but I'm going to be honest, sometimes the AI kind of messes things up, and I found that it's just easier to check off one thing at a time on your list of different changes you need in the post processor. Okay, so you change one thing, you test it out, make sure it's working good, there's no bugs, because what will happen is you'll get bugs, especially if you start making multiple changes. Right now AI it's okay, it has its flaws, but it's gonna have bugs. Okay, it's best to do one thing at a time. Right, anyways, so I'm gonna hit post. Let's look at the code. Alright, and you can look at the top of my screen. I no longer have that comment, use dogleg. Right, so we are good. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, and you don't have to do this, but I'm going to make the sequence numbers no as default. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I'm going to have to keep on uploading this post over and over. And I want the code to be as close as to the way I want it as possible, right? Now, Fusion 360, every time you upload a post or they do an update, sequence numbers is always turned on by default. And so we're going to turn it off just to speed up the process. So every time we upload a post, don't actually have to go in there and hit no. All right, so we're going to tell Claude, next edit, make sequence numbers off by default. Okay, we don't want to take it completely out, but we just want to make it default. So make sequence numbers off by default. All right, let's check this out. Okay, so Claude finished up. Claude responds by saying, found it, line 234, default value is at true, changing it to false. Okay, so Rev 3 will show sequence numbers default change from true to false. Sequence numbers such as N10, N15, N20 will now be off by default on a fresh post installs. The use sequence numbers property is still exposed in the post option dialog if you want to flip it back to yes, only on tool change per program. Okay, so notice that it says Rev 3. That's because we told Claude for every update on the post for each edit, name it Rev 3, Rev 4, and so on, okay? The reason why we're doing that is we need to be able to keep track of our changes, because what's going to happen is you're thinking you're going to have a good post, and you're going to find out you have a bug. And you're going to have to backtrack and figure out which post was working. What was the last working post that didn't have any bugs, okay? Then you want to start back at that post and then kind of work those edits back through without any bugs, okay? So that's the process. Anyways, so let's check out Rev 3. So I'm gonna click Rev 3. We're gonna go download. Okay, so now we are gonna test the post processor edit we just made. So I'm gonna right click, I'm gonna go to post process. We are going to go to select post from library. And so we're at Rev 2, now we're going to be at Rev 3. So I'm going to go to import from the downloads folder, and hit select. Okay, so notice that use sequence numbers is now by default no. Alright, so every time we re-upload this post, by default that property will already be on no. Now, what other changes we want to make? For example, use G00. I want that checked every time. That is not going to be checked, okay? And I also want preload tool unchecked. I don't like the preload tool. All right, so let's go ahead and tell Claude to make preload tool off. All right, make the preload tool off or unchecked by default. Okay, we may also want to explain that this is a post property. So next, make the preload tool off or unchecked by default in the post property. All right, let's try that out. All right, so it says, so ran a command, viewed the file, found it, line 56, default value true, flipping to false. Okay, so it went to line 56 in the CPS file. Alright, so ran 2 commands, edited file, read a file. Rev 4 is preload tool, default changed from true to false. The preload tool checkbox is the post property dialog will now be unchecked by default. No more TNN, preload tool number, preload line emitted before the tool changes unless you explicitly check the box. The user can still toggle it from pre-program and then post option if needed. So you can check it if you want it, but by default it's going to be off. Alright, so let's go ahead and download the new post processor. Notice it's Rev 4. Hit save. Let's go to Fusion 360. Go to edit. Let's import the new post processor. Now keep in mind, if you're actually paying for the desktop version, you have Cowork, and Cowork will automatically save the post processor in the proper folder, which is under it's under app data, Fusion 360, Autodesk Fusion 360, and then CAM and post processor, that folder. But anyways, it will automatically save the post processor in the proper folder, so you wouldn't actually have to download it and then re-import it in. So I would use Cowork. The only reason I'm not using Cowork is a lot of y'all don't have the paid version, and the process is a little bit different. So we hit open, select. We have Rev 4. Okay, let's check it out. So preload tool is off. Looks good to me. But let's tell Claude that worked. Okay, that worked. Remember this for next time. It's good to tell it to remember anytime that it actually does something correctly, which is hopefully often. Tell it good, remember that for next time. Basically, you need to train the AI what to do, so it'll actually save that to the memory. So if you look at it right here, save. Next time we touch this post, I'll start from Rev 4 as the baseline and bump up to Rev 5 on the next edit. The 3 confirmed working changes, sequence numbers off, preload tool off, and dogleg comment suppressed are locked into memory. Okay, so the next edit is to make the use G00 on by default in the post properties. Okay, ran a command, viewed the file, found it, line 97. So line 97 in the CPS file is default false, flipping to true. Okay, so Rev 5 use G00 default change from false to true. The use G00 checkbox is in the post properties will now be on by default. Rapid moves will output as G00 instead of high feed G01 unless you unchecked it. Note the dogleg path warning comment already suppressed. In Rev 2 the program header stays clean. No using G00 comment will be print. Alright, so let's check it out. Let's go ahead and test it. So we're going to go ahead and click on the post processor, hit download. It's Rev 5, that's good. Let's go back to Fusion, go to edit. We're going to go ahead and import. Oops. Alright, we're going to go ahead and import the Rev 5. Hit select. Alright. So now you see use G00 is checked. Let's go ahead and hit post. Hit yes. Alright, we're now using G00. Looks good. Okay, so looking at the code, the next thing I want to do, and this is probably the biggest thing in the Fusion 360 post processors that bugs me the most, is this MO1 right here. So at the end of this toolpath right here, when it goes to the next toolpath, it puts the MO1 down here under the parentheses, under the name for that toolpath. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to show Claude how we want this code to come out, right? So basically what I want is I want this MO1 to be down here, right, instead of right here. And so what we need to do is we need to describe to Claude, let's see, next change is to move the output MO1 to the end of the toolpath instead of the beginning. And let's give it an example. So let's go ahead and send it that. I'm gonna tell it stop. And so right now, let's undo this. So right now the code looks like this. The MO1 is at the beginning of the following toolpath. We don't want it there. Alright, so I'm going to copy and paste a screenshot. We're going to send that, we're going to hit stop. And we want it to be right here. Alright, I'll take a screenshot of that. Sometimes you have to give it screenshots or examples because it will try to predict what you really want, and a lot of times it's wrong. So you have to actually change the code and give an example like, no, the code needs to look like this. It needs to look like this. Alright, got it. MO1 needs to move from the start of the new toolpath right before the operation comment to the end of the previous toolpath after G53 G00Z0 retract before the blank line in the next operation comment. Okay, so let me find where the MO1 optional stop is currently emitted. Found it, line 2119 to 2120. The MO1 is being emitted at the start of the new section when there's a tool call, not at the end of the previous section. Let me see the context. Okay, so now let me find the on section in. That's where the MO1 should move to, so it prints at the end of the previous toolpath. Now I have what I need. Looking at the screenshot, the desired output is, and it shows the example. Everything looks right there. The retract G53 G0Z0 is written by write retract, which is called from elsewhere. Let me find where the retract happens. Okay. So the cleanest approach, disable the MO1 at the start of the next section. You see that? That's what I like about Claude. It says the cleanest approach. Because if you ask ChatGPT to do this, it wouldn't be the cleanest approach. Which I do hear Codex is pretty good, but I've had I've seen ChatGPT come up with some crap. Claude can come up with some crap too, so don't trust it as well. Okay, so but wait, on section N runs on the last section too. We don't want the MO1 after the very last op, since M30 is at the end of the program. Let me guard with this. Is the last section. Here's my plan. Comment out the existing MO1 emission at the line 2119 to 2121. Start on next section. Add MO1 emission at the end of the on section end, but only if not the last section and optional stop is enabled. What it's trying to do is trying to avoid having an MO1 in the program instead of an M30. That's what it's trying to do. Alright, so let's go ahead. It's got Rev 6 already, so let's test this out. Okay, so I posted Rev 6, and this is how it came out. It did not get it correct. This is the problem. So it put the MO1 up here. So what we're going to do is we are going to take a screenshot and show Claude that it messed up. Alright, so I'm going to go back to Claude. I'm going to tell the screenshot, say, this is not correct. MO1 needs to be at the bottom. And yes, my prompt could be more specific. Okay, so Claude says, I see the problem. M01 is landing between G00 and Z.2, and M09, M5, G53. Oh, so it already, I don't know, let's close that. So the retract block M09, M05, G53 is actually emitted at the start of a next section during the tool change prep and right tool call. Okay, so it already fixed this, so let's check out the fix. Let's see what this looks right. So click right here, let's go download, and let's test Rev 7. Okay, so we got Rev 7 imported in. Let's hit post and let's check it out, see if Claude got it right. And no, that's not right. So let's take a screenshot and inform Claude that it is not correct. You know, the cool thing about Claude, you don't even actually have to tell it. You just give it a screenshot. It already knows. It knows what it's supposed to look like. Still not right. The M01 is landing after the title of the toolpath, which in this case is motor pocket operation comment, between the comment and the tool number and MO6. So the operation comment is printed before the right tool call runs. So let me trace the actual order in on section. Okay, so basically what it's doing, it looks at the CPS file and it says confirm line 823 writes the operation comment, the comment motor pocket in this case. Then line 830 calls the right tool call so that the order is in on section. That's why the MO1 lands between the comment and the tool number. Let me look at lines 815 to 835 to see a bigger picture. Close that. Now I have the real flow. The retract sequence M09, M05, G53, and G00Z0 happens at the top of the on section for the new operation before the operation comment. So line 798 is on command, command coolant off. Line 810 on command, command stop spindle. Line 815 right retract. Line 822 right in blank line. Line, oh, that's a blank. We'll check that out later. Line 823 right comment motor pocket. Line 830. Okay, so my earlier MO1 injection inside the right tool call lands after the comment. I need to revert and inject the MO1 between the 820 and 822 right after the retract block completes. Alright, so it says it corrected it in Rev 8, so let's go ahead and download Rev 8 and see if it actually got it right. Let's go back to NC program, edit, go to the folder. Let's go to import, Rev 8, select. And remember, if you use Cowork, for Claude Cowork, this is much easier. You can skip a lot of these steps. I'm not using Cowork because most people aren't going to have Cowork. But anyways, I just want to show that you can edit the post processor with Claude. So we're going to hit post, see what happens here. Hey, that was good. It's got the MO1 right here. Let's check out the next tool path. MO1 right there. Okay, so that's good. That looks right. I'm happy with that. Let's check the last one. Okay, I got the M30. Okay, sometimes when it starts moving the MO1 around, well, it'll screw up the last tool path where it has the M30. But it actually got it right, so we got that taken care of. And let's go ahead and read what Claude said. So I had the flow wrong. The retract sequence between M9 and M5 doesn't happen in the right tool call. It happens at the top of on section for the new operation before the op comment. Okay. So MO1 emission to on section inserted right after the retract block closes the line 820 And right before we write in the comment, line 822. Sounds good. Rev 8 worked. Okay, so I'm going to tell Claude Rev 8 worked. Remember this for next time. What it's going to do, each time you say remember this, it's going to save it to his memory. As you can see, managing memory. Because we're going to have other post processors to edit. And basically what we want to do is we want to build a skill. Okay, so the next change. I don't like the way Fusion 360 calls out the tool in the tool descriptions. This is how it looks by default. Let's go ahead and take a screenshot of this. Alright, so let's tell Claude this is how the tool description post. So let's change this. Alright. So I'm gonna give it a screenshot. I'm gonna hit send. I'm gonna go ahead and stop it before it does anything. And let's give it an example. So we're gonna keep it. We're gonna keep these descriptions short and simple. Let's see if it can actually do this. 8-inch drill. Alright. So we'll take a screenshot of this. This is how I want the tool description to be. Go ahead and post that. Okay, got it. Just going to strip out the center drill diameter, the taper, and the Z minimum. Let's see if it actually does this. Now, it may struggle because the center drill, it had the diameter in there, so that was the only one that doesn't have the diameter. Okay, maybe I should leave it in there. Let's see what it does. It may get it. Okay, so it's going to keep the tool number, the diameter, and the end mill, the tool name, which is flat end mill in this example. It's going to remove CR. Oops, go ahead and close that. Remove the entire taper block. I don't want that. Remove the Z minimum block. And change the separator before the tool type. Alright, so let's go ahead and try this out. So we're going to click on Rev 9. Let's go download. Okay, so let's test the post out. So I'm right click, go to edit. I already have it imported in. Rev 9, select post. Hit yes, overwrite it. And that looks correct. It got the center drill diameter. That's fine. We're just gonna leave it at that. Okay. Let's go ahead and tell Claude that worked. Remember this for next time. Alright. I like doing that because one thing I'll do, I've done this before and it worked out pretty good. After I got a post processor written the way I wanted it and actually proved out, I told Claude to write me a book, a PDF file, describing all the changes it made. So it documented it. And it was, man, I think it was like a 90-page document or something. It was quite large. It used up a lot of tokens. If I do that again, I'll probably tell it to write a PDF but keep it under 20 pages. We just need a summary because it was quite detailed. Okay, so let's go ahead and look for the next change. So the next thing I want to do is I want each operation, each toolpath operation, to have the tool number, tool call out underneath the name of the operation comment. So for example, tool 9 right here is the 5/8 end mill. So what we want to do is let's go ahead and give Claude a before. Alright, this is how the startup toolpath startup posts. I want it to include let's see, hold up. I want each toolpath to include the tool description. Currently it posts, actually hold up, let's include that screenshot. Okay, we're gonna stop it so it doesn't make any changes yet. And so tool 9, so we want to do, let's copy this down here, and then let's tell Claude okay, each toolpath should start like this with the tool described. Okay, got it. Option C, tool description comment line right before the tool number and the MO6 line, matching the same format as the header or the tool list. Let me find where the tool call out line gets written in the on section, right tool call. Found it, line 1124 writes the tool call line. 1125 already describes a comment for tool comment, which is fusion comment field on the tool, usually empty. I'll add the format description comment before the tool line. Okay. Okay, so it already got rev 10. Let's go ahead and try this out. Let's go download. Go download here. We'll close this out. Go to edit. We're going to import it in. And let's hit post. Okay, that's it. That looks good. Let's check the other toolpaths. They're all correct. Then it changes to tool 2, which is the 1/2 inch end mill. It's good. Center drill. That'll work. Okay. That worked. Remember this for next time. Okay, so the next change we're going to make is we're going to move the location of the MO8. We're also going to put a block delete in front of it. So we're going to have the MO8 be after the Z.1. Put block delete in front of it. My operator, he likes it like that, so he can, on the first initial piece, he can have the coolant off. That's his way of having the coolant off. He turns block delete on. But anyways, so we're going to tell Claude to move the location of the MO8 to after the Z.1. Now in this case, Z.1 is the retract clearance. Let's check this out. Let's go to edit here. It is the feed height. We'll also give We'll give Claude that information too. And if you're ever not sure, okay, so the more data you give Claude, the better. All right. So one thing we could do, we'll go ahead and tell it that information, but it may not know where those numbers come from. So what we're going to do is we are going to post as a dump file also, and it'll have the raw data before it goes to the post processor. So Claude will be able to tell the difference. But anyways, so what we're going to do, tell Claude, let's move the location of the M08 to after the Z.1, and also put a block delete in front of the M08. Okay, so I'm going to post that. Now, just to make sure that Claude knows where to put it, what I'm going to do is I'm also going to post process as a dump file. I have a dump file. There we go. Dumper. So we'll just copy all of that. Let's give it to Claude. Here's the dump file for more information. So if you ever can't get the right information to Claude, or you're ever not sure, give it a dump file. And a dump file, all it is you post it as a dump file. A dump file is basically, it's like the intermediate file between the raw CAD/CAM data before it goes to the post processor. Got it. Two changes. Move M08 from the G00, from before the G00 Z.1 to after it. Add block delete, prefix to M08, so it becomes block delete M08. Let me find the coolant M08 is emitted relative to the Z-food move. Let me look at line 883. That's the set coolant. Tool.coolant, call inside on section, which is where the M08 is emitted at the start of the toolpath. Okay, it says now I see the flow. Looking at the screenshot output. Okay. All right. I think it has it. Let's test it out here. Okay, so Rev 11 M08 moved to after Z.1 pre-positioning, block delete added, two changes in on section. So this is an on section change. And here's an example. Let's go ahead and try it out. Let's go ahead and grab the Rev 11. I've already got it imported in, so we're gonna hit post, hit yes, and let's take a look at this. So looks good there. There's a space. That's not gonna work. There's a space in between the block delete and the MOA. Where's the other one at? Ah, same thing. Okay. Here, let's tell Claude. That posted with a space in between V and MO8. Remove the space. And let's go ahead and just give it, copy and paste the code in there. Okay, looking at the output is posting M8 with a space. The space is coming from the right block's format words, joining V in the block of the M8 with the word separator space. Let me look at line 1591 where block delete is added. Line 1604, right words, block delete, text plus suffix. So if you write words to function joins the arguments with the word separator space giving a block delete space Ilma 8. The cleanest fix is to not use optional section for this specific case and instead emit Ilma 8 directly with the manual Ilma 8 string. Let me revert the optional section and approach and emit the raw line. Okay. So it changed its mind. It looks like it says, wait, get the coolant code has side effects. It updates current coolant mode via set coolant calling get coolant codes directly skips that bookkeeping. All right, so it's basically going to some problem solving. Here, all right, let's get the new Rev 12. Let's check out Rev 12. We're gonna download it. Edit. We go to import. Got Rev 12. I'm gonna have to go and clean up my list here. Alright, let's get post. Hit yes. Alright, let's check this out. That looks good. Besides, it's before the Z.1. We want it after. Let's check this out. Same thing right there. Okay, we're closer. I mean, that's not where I want it, but that's definitely closer. Okay. So let's show Claude how the code came out. Now notice I'm not even going to tell Claude. I'll just take a screenshot and give it to it. It can problem solve. It'll figure it out. Look at the screenshot. The slash is now flush with the Ilma 8, so that's correct. No space. But the Ilma 8 is landing between the G43, the Z.2 height offset, and the G00 Z.1. Not after the G00 Z.1, like the original request. Okay, so it does the problem solving. So via right initial positioning is only writing items 1 and 2. Item 4, which is G00 Z.1, is the first rapid of the actual toolpath on rapid from the line 651 your dump. Okay, so it's so Claude says I'll add the emit pending coolant on as a safety net at the end of the on linear 2. The way the section starts the feed move rare. Ilma 8 still fires, but importantly, since drilling cycles use on cycle point and don't go through on rapid directly in the simple form, let me also hook into the section start of on cycle point, actually drilling expanded mode per the dump. Does not use on rapid lines like 4701 expanded on rapid, so the on rapid handles it. This expanded form uses the on cycle point only. Let me check to see the drilling section header looks like, looking at the dump center drill section. Okay. So it now has Rev 13. Let's check out Rev 13. This may take a few tries too, but it's just part of the process. Okay, so close this out. Let's go to edit. Let's re-import the new Rev 13. Select, post. Alright. Hey, that's right. Let's check the other toolpaths. That looks right. That looks right. I think we're good. Let's check the drill in operation. That's correct. Alright. So that's about it on this post-processor edit. You may make a few changes later. Some of this stuff can be changed in the settings, so it's not really a post issue. We could change it in the post, but it'd be more reasonable to change it in the actual software. But everything looks good. I think we'll call this one done for now. But see y'all next time.